Alrighty, today is officially day 7. This is closing the week. It has been 1 week since I've started this, and I will say, even though it's been a week, I can definitely notice change. Even though it's minimal, even though it's not drastic, I can notice it. I can feel it. For example, I started going to the gym and laying back on bad habits, and my energy is at the highest level it's been in a really long time. So I'm going to stick with this because, results, they're small, but they're showing, and they're definitely worth it. They're definitely worth it, guys. So if you're questioning whether you should start or whether you should make that move, do it, because you can get into really good positions. You can get back to where, you feel confident, high energy, just feeling good. So, yeah. What I want to talk about today is discipline. Discipline is very, very, very important. Very important. To me, it's probably the most important thing, because discipline has a lot to do with control, fighting off temptation, stopping yourself from doing certain things, maybe holding back, in some cases missing out on things. But discipline is important because it builds character, it builds strength, it builds great mental skills. It's just super important. And if you are an undisciplined person, it's going to be pretty hard to get far out into the world, because discipline deals a lot with seriousness. You need to be serious about yourself. You need to be serious about your goals. And what discipline does is just keeps that in check. So, yeah. Basically, what I want for myself is to be able to, for example, let's say I have friends planning a party or something, and it sounds pretty fun. There's gonna be cool stuff, a lot of people, it's gonna be a fun night, gonna be a lot of stuff to do, and overall just a fun event. But let's say at the same time I got an exam coming up, and I really need to pass this exam. I need to get a good grade on it, and I know I need to study. So what discipline does is it tells you, hey, you do have this exam coming up, and is it worth risking failure to go to some party? The answer is no. No, it is not. Sure, you are missing out, but you got to realize you have bigger goals, and these temporary things are temporary. You'll have more opportunities, and discipline sets long-term goals in effect and keeps them in check. Like I said, you need to be willing to make sacrifices, and you need to be willing to miss out on certain things to grow discipline. If you don't, you probably won't. You're not gonna make it that far. Life requires serious dedication and focus at times, and that focus is kept by discipline. When you notice yourself getting distracted or falling back on the things, your discipline can catch you and be like, hey, nope, get back in check. And it's a good thing to keep in your mind at all times. I know I've made bad decisions in the past and gone to certain events / places doing some bad things because I was not disciplined, because I just didn't really care for any long-term goal or repercussion that may come to me as an effect of doing certain things. So discipline can get you out of trouble. It can keep you in safety, And it's overall just one of the most important things you can do for yourself. Now, disciplining yourself is pretty hard because you have free will and you have the choice to not do things or to do things. So, for example, like past me, if I was given the opportunity to either start going to the gym and let's say training for like MMA or something like that, the old me 9 times out of 10 is gonna not pick that option because I know that requires hard work, focus, and dedication. Quite frankly, I wouldn't want to put any of that towards that because the old me didn't have any discipline. I'd rather make unsmart choices and go to places knowing that I'm really not benefiting. I'm just kind of temporarily getting some dopamine hit. And, that's not good because say you constantly get these dopamine hits, like smoking or going to parties all the time. Eventually that feeling's gonna become mundane. It's gonna become pretty bland because you're becoming so used to it. Your body's just acclimated to always having that satisfaction. So when you finally start to try to discipline, it's going to be really hard because you're so used to something else. And, it's good to try to catch yourself early on. It is going to be hard. Again, you have free will. It's not easy to just be like, oh, I'm not going to go to this party because I know I have other better things to do. A lot of you out there are going to want to go to a party. A lot of you out there are going to want to smoke, drink, do stuff like that. But realize you have plenty of time to do all that stuff. Right now, if you're in a bad spot, you shouldn't be focusing on that stuff. You really shouldn't. I get it's fun. I completely understand. And I get the satisfaction that you will receive from it. But again, it's only been 1 week and I feel really good. My confidence is slowly rising. My energy has risen pretty drastically in the past week. I've been able to do a lot of stuff without getting tired. I used to walk around my house and be out of breath. That sounds crazy, but that's true. I used to literally be active for like 10 minutes and then I'd stop because I'd be way too wore out or I'm just tired, I'm out of breath. So forcing discipline upon myself to get up early and go to the gym and keep up with my health and track progress and make these videos and just continue to push forward creates discipline. And that discipline it's growing and it's definitely worth trying for you guys, especially if you're in a bad spot. Remember, you have time to do all the fun shit, but if you're constantly doing the fun shit now, it's going to be super hard to lock in later. Lock in now, so you can be the best you while getting these satisfying moments while going to parties and shit. I don't mind letting loose every once in a while. There's no problem with that. Everyone, it's beneficial. That it's not good to just sit inside disciplining yourself by holding yourself back from friends or isolating yourself. Stuff like that is going to put you in a bad spot. And for me in the past, it quickly became an isolation. And let me tell you, that shit is not fun. I do not recommend doing that whatsoever. Gonna get a little deep here, but like a year ago, I would not really hang out with anybody. I would be staying in my room. I'd stay in bed. I'd wake up probably around 12, stay in bed till 4, 3, get up and literally do nothing. Go sit in my gaming chair and eat some crappy ass meal and watch some random YouTube video. and I wasn't having any really social interaction, and in turn, I really wasn't talking to my family that much. So isolation will tear you to, like, it'll tear you down really fast, because humans thrive on social interaction. Now, it's not the case for everybody, but social interaction and having other people around you psychologically has a huge effect on you, whether you realize that or not. You know, and again, there's antisocial people out there, but I bet they're not ones to isolate themselves completely, right? There's a difference between spending alone time and isolation, because, you know, it's good to have alone time, but not all the time where it's just isolation. So, you know, if you notice something like that, please change that, please, because that's not healthy and it's really not good. And you know, I'm gonna go back a few days, recognize that, like a pattern, you know. Is it repetition? Are you consistently doing this? Are you falling in and out of that cycle? Realize that, and once you realize that, you can try to start pinpointing small ways to fix that, to get out of that habit. So yeah, really focus on that. And again, discipline's hard to build, especially when you're trying to discipline yourself, because you have, you know, the choice to make. It's you. But know that that choice, your brain knows better. Listen to it. You know, if you have to miss out on something right now, just do it. It sucks, but it'll help you in the long run. It really does. It builds responsibility. It builds character. It builds strength. It builds mental acuity. It builds just decision making. It literally is one of the main foundations of you. I cannot exaggerate how important discipline is. Just really work on that if that's something you struggle with. I know it's something I struggle with pretty bad, and it's something I'm currently working on. So, yeah, that's really it for discipline, because it's kind of like a black and white thing. It does get complex and deep at times, but the basis of it still remains, you know. It might suck to miss out, but know that it's worth it, and know that later on down the line, when you're looking back, you're going to be grateful that you made the right decision. You're going to be grateful that you skipped out that one time. You're going to be grateful you didn't smoke that one night. You're going to be grateful for not drinking. You're going to be grateful for all that later on down the line when you're looking back. And that's really the mindset you should carry out, is thinking long term, especially now in life when you're becoming an adult. Like, I'm about to be 18 within, what's today, the 6th, I think. I'm going to be 18 in, like a few weeks, 2 weeks. Right now is the time to be building. And to be honest, I wish I would have done it sooner. But, you know, I kind of wasted a lot of time doing nonsensical things. So, yeah, build that discipline. Realize you have more opportunities, and start thinking more long term. That's going to help you a lot more than you think. And know that it sucks, but that is all completely part of the process. And if it does suck, and you notice that it's easier to make the decision to skip out, know that you're doing something right and you are progressing. Look, what I want to start doing is, just looking back on a week, maybe a month, and tracking that process, writing something down, what I was doing a month from now and what I'm doing now. Because that'll show you how you're growing, and hopefully you can look at your growth and be motivated by that to keep growing, to keep progressing. So yeah, keep making those baby steps, keep pushing forward, discipline yourself, take action, take a hold of your life. People don't realize how far they can get right? A lot of people will look at these unrealistic goals and be like, that's unrealistic. Like, I'm not gonna get that ever, but it is something I want. Well, of course you're not gonna get that ever if you think like that, right? Like, one of my goals and aspirations, I would love to be in the UFC. I would love to. That's something I'm super passionate about. It's just fighting, mixed martial arts, stuff like that. And I know if I was sitting here telling myself I'm never gonna get there, but that's something I want to do, I'm never gonna get there, because I'm telling myself, like, that's not realistic. But, like, ask yourself this: do you think the champions are telling themselves that it's not realistic and they're not gonna get it? If they were, they're not gonna be there. That's kind of a loser mindset if you think about it. Nothing's unrealistic. You need to realize your potential. You can get so far in life if you just realize your potential. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. To summarize, build discipline, take action, know it takes time, and track your progress. Things are gonna keep going forward for you. So yeah, I believe things are gonna get better, and I'm hopeful, and I hope you all believe that too. So thank you, and bye.